welcome back to a new video. My name's Caitlin, Katie. If you didn't know, now you know, right? So today I thought I'd make another baking video. I really liked filming the last one, so I thought I'd give it another go. Very bright and colourful today. Got my Kenya shirt on. I've never been there, so don't ask me that in the comments. My dad's been there. Anyway, I'm sure that's very interesting for you. So today, we're making my favourite thing to bake. I'll be honest. I don't have favourites. I'm just kidding, I do. It's bread. Oh, there's nothing better than a good bread, am I right? Hot, crusty bread. Oh, bit of butter. Woo! So anyway, today we're making a seeded wholemeal loaf. That's what it's called. Get the name right, Caitlin. So it is a kind of maybe a healthier version. Brown flour, got some seeds going in here. It's going to be a good time, so stick around if you want to see how to make it. I'm going to tell you a bit better this time about how to do it, different ways to knead and stuff like that. So if you like, carry on watching. So let's get into it. So in my bowl here I have 500 grams of wholemeal flour. Just a nice wholemeal flour. I'm using Tesco's, doesn't really matter. Into the bowl, into the 500 grams of flour, we get 2 teaspoons of a fast action yeast. Get a kind of good quality one because you know it's going to work most of the time, because often yeast is a live bacteria, so sometimes it does die and your bread won't work. I use an Allison's yeast, but any good kind of yeast will work. They're like 30p per packet. And then in here as well I have 2 teaspoons of salt. So just gonna throw that in. Give it a bit of a mix just to get it kind of incorporated. Again, you don't want big clumps of yeast in your bread, because then it's going to affect your proofing time. Okay, so then once that's just kind of mixed up a bit, set that aside, go over to your stove, and that's where we're going to be next. We've changed location. What I've done is I've just quickly boiled up some milk. You're going to want to boil 150 mils of milk in a small saucepan. Watch it, because it does kind of form a skin if you don't watch it, and it will boil over and burn and just be gross. So mine's come up to the boil, just bubbling a little bit. That's, well, quite a lot to be fair. That's how you know it's boiled. Then what you're going to do into that, you're going to add 50 grams of unsalted butter. In it goes. Then into this as well, you're going to be adding a tablespoon of some nice, just plain old honey. Nothing fancy about that. Ooh, yeah. It's just some nice honey. And then what you're going to be doing is stirring it just to melt it. You're just waiting for it all to melt, because yeast loves warmth and bacteria grow best in heat. So thus, you're heating up your milk. Giving it a bit of a cheeky stir. And then once that's all melted in and kind of bonded nicely, you know, the butter and the milk, they just want to bond. That's all they want to do. Anyway, once that's all kind of bonded, you're going to stir in 150 milliliters of water. Okay, so we're back over to the first station. And then now what you want to do is you want to take your buttery, milky mixture and gradually add it to your flour yeast mixture. What a combo. A little bit at a time. So you're basically just doing a quick incorporation of it. I'm using a spoon. I don't feel like getting my hands dirty straight away. You're just gradually adding this. So I feel as though now's the right time to address maybe the elephant in the room. My hair. I don't know how well you can see it. I have in fact dyed the bottom half blonde. Yes. Was it an impulse? Kind of. Do I regret it? No. No, I thought, well, I'm becoming a YouTuber here, so I've got to look like the OG kind of teenage YouTuber, Emma Chamberlain. So I thought, well, she's got this kind of half and half thing going on at the moment. Let me give it a go. Needless to say, I'm not Emma Chamberlain, which is why. Look at that. Low-key, I kind of like it. I think I need to maybe fix it up a little bit, but I like it. Don't really care if anyone else does, but yeah. Okay. So what we've got here is kind of a gluttonous mixture. So from when it kind of, you see it's not going to mix well with a spoon. You're gonna have to get in there with your hands and just mix it around. So this is where a lot of the feel of bread comes in. So your mixture, I'm gonna take it out now and show you. But you don't want it too dry so that it's breaking apart when you're touching it. But at the same time, you don't want it sticking to your hands. Okay, so like that kind of is what your hands are gonna be looking like. And it's gonna be warm, obviously, because you put boiling milk in here. Okay, so just getting this out. So that's what your dough is looking like as of now. So now it's time to knead. So I kind of like telling you guys some interesting facts and just like increasing your knowledge a little bit. So the whole process of kneading is essentially you're breaking down the two proteins that exist in flour. Just skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to know. But anyway, you're breaking down the two proteins, which are glutenin and gliadin. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but it sounds kind of right. Anyway, so what you're doing is you're breaking down and realigning those molecules and proteins to form a matrix, which is a structure within the flour, kind of like, you know. I don't know what it looks like. I don't take science, as I've mentioned. But, and then from that, what that's going to help with and aid with is giving you a nice texture to your bread, as well as letting air into your bread and letting it rise. And then obviously your yeast is what makes it rise. So just a little tip on and showing you how to knead, because a lot of recipes say like knead, but they don't tell you how. I know that's something I struggled with. Luckily my dad kind of knows, but yeah, so showing you how to knead. So what you want to do, start with your dough, get it very, you always want to kind of really well flour your surface, get your hands nice and done. So what you're doing is you're using the heel of your hand and you're pushing into the dough. With my other hand, I then fold over, push that down, fold over, push that down. So what you're doing is you're pushing, you're folding, you're pushing again, and you're just repeating that process. And you're gonna have to do this for about 10 minutes. It is a workout. Like I mentioned, this is a really good way to burn off the calories you're going to eat later. But what you're feeling for, this is where again, so right now it's kind of like that. It's gonna break if I tear it. You can kind of see there. What you're wanting and looking for is a more elastic bread, so that when you push a finger into it and pull it slightly, it doesn't break. You want that elasticity to change, and you'll feel it, and hopefully you'll hear it in my voice, because it'll get slightly easier to kind of knead. See, heel, fold, heel, fold, heel, fold. And then you just kind of develop your own style. I mean, and then what's quite nice is once it gets to this point, you don't need too much more flour, depending on your surface. Don't do this on a wooden surface. It's going to get on those crevices and you ain't going to get it out for anything. Caitlin's top tip, she's learned from her past. So I'm just going to carry on. Okay everyone, as you can hear, I've been eating for another 5 minutes or so, and I think, to my very limited knowledge, it has changed. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but you're pushing it and it's bouncing back, pushing it, coming back. So that's how you know. You just watch, feeling and watching for that change in elasticity, then you know it's done. So what you want to do is just not get too many like folds and things. At the end, it's fine whilst you're doing it because you're pushing them out anyway. So get your bread into a nice kind of ball, put it in a bowl, medium to large size. This is my bowl, plonk it in. It's greased, by the way. You have to grease it. Put it in, cover it with a little bit of cling wrap. You know what petition I would sign? Is to get something that cuts cling film easier. That's something I can get behind, you know? So let me know if there's anything like that. Much appreciated. So then you're going to get this nice and tight. Well, I get it tight anyway. It doesn't specifically say that. So there's my bread. It's in a big bowl, and I'm going to put it in a warm area for an hour. You don't want to put it in direct sunlight, again, because the yeast is a active bacteria, live bacteria, and it might kill it off, kill some of the yeast at least. So a warm area, not direct sunlight, but fairly warm. The warmer it is generally, the quicker it'll rise. So I'll see you in an hour once my bread has risen. Alrighty people, it's been an hour. About to check the loaf. I can see it. Cheeky little peek. Boom. Look at all that gas escape. It smells like bread. Here we go. So we see how that's risen. It's pretty much doubled, maybe 2.5 times the size. So now it's just time to add 3/4 of our seeds, and this is 100 grams of seeds. I've just got some mixed seeds. You can use sunflower seeds, I really love those. Pumpkin seeds are also really great because they pop when you heat them up. So yeah, so what you're going to do is you take a little bit of flour, just so that you don't stick. There's nothing worse than a bread that sticks, you know, am I right? Okay, so take this out of the bowl. Oh, look. Boom. Okay, it's going to deflate a little. That can be as expected. Maybe flatten it a little bit. And you're going to sprinkle over 3/4 of your seeds. Because the rest of them you're going to save for the top of your loaf. That's a lot of seeds. I really hope they stay. I mean, if you don't do what you feel. If you feel like it's too much, just put less. I mean, but anyway, so what basically I'm using 100 grams of seeds. Let me take this out the way. So now what you're doing is you're kneading it until your seeds are evenly incorporated. And this is quite a tough dough, as we've seen. Some of them will probably fall out, but that's as can be expected. So I've kneaded that. Our seeds are displaced through it. So now what you're going to do is you're going to pat your dough down into a square. I've never made a loaf of bread that needs you to do this, but alas, you learn something every day. So as you can see, I'm just kind of patting it down, and I'll show you once it's where I want it to be as to the thickness, because as of now I don't quite know how thick I want it. But you really see the elasticity of your dough now, because it's really bouncing back after you've put it, so you almost feel like you're not getting anywhere. But slow and steady is always going to win the race. Tortoise in the head, tortoise in the hair, tortoise that. Haha. You're so funny, Caitlin. I know. I'm not humble though. Anyway. It's besides the point. It's neither here nor there. Okay, so now we kind of got a square. It's not very, very square, but I'll give you a quick look of it. There it is. That's about 2 centimeters thick. So now what you're going to want to do is move it in front of you like that, and you're going to tightly roll the bread. Okay, so you're rolling it as tightly as possible. And then you're just going to kind of tuck the ends under it a little bit so that you don't have any of those seams or anything. Tuck them under. And remember, it doesn't matter if it doesn't look great, because it's going to rise anyway. And that's going to iron out any of those ugly bits. Whew, looks like I'm getting a delivery. I feel so special. So obviously you have the seam there where you joined them. Okay, move them aside. Okay, I've pre-greased a baking tray. Nope, false alarm guys, delivery's not for us, for our next door neighbours. Aren't they cool? So, take it seam side down, like so, in the middle of your greased baking tray. Then, you're going to want to get some cling film, because now is the second proofing. So you're wanting to proof it again because I've just kneaded it, and then that's always good to do. Nope, he's driving away guys. Definitely not for us today. I am expecting a package. But evidently, today is not my day. Then I'm just going to kind of cut this. Again, cling film. What a mission. Flatten it out a bit. And then just spread your oil over it. You can use any oil. I just had olive oil, so I used that. And you're greasing it because you're only covering it with this. You're not going to bake it. Because plastic does not bake well, kids. Just then, voila. Greased and oiled. And you're just going to loosely cover it with that. And then boom. Put it in a warmish place. It doesn't have to be too warm now because this is your second proof. But anyway, yeah. So another hour and we'll check back in. You're not even ready. Look at this beauty. It's actually huge. It rose a lot more than I thought it would. But it should be really good. So there's our bread. I'll take a picture now as I put it in. So now what you're going to want to do is take a little bit of milk, a little brush like this, and you're just going to lightly brush it with milk. That's going to just give you a nice golden color, and it's going to help because now we're actually going to put the seeds, the remaining quarter of the seeds that we had, on top to give it that nice kind of look and crust that a lot of bread has. Well, seeded bread, I suppose. Wow, I'm gobsmacked about how much it's risen. So just give it a good kind of paint with it. Don't do too much. Okay. So then it says sprinkle over the seeds. I'm just gonna push them down a little bit. I've been told by my parents not to do too many because they say too much is sometimes too much. I disagree. I think that too much is never enough. Again, this is just mixed seeds. It's got sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds. Okay everyone, so here is our bread. Ooh, look at that beauty. I mean, there's my hand for a reference. I have fairly large hands. There it is. Oh, absolutely blimmin' beautiful. So now you're going to want to put it into a preheated oven at 200 degrees if you're using a fan, 220 if it's not a fan oven, and you're going to want to bake that for about 30 minutes or until the bread sounds hollow when you tap it. But I'll show you what it actually sounds like once it's done, because again, recipes always said that, and I mean, how hollow can bread actually sound? But I'll show you. And then we're going to have a beautiful loaf of bread just now. Guys, look at my bread. Put it down. It's just come out the oven. So take it, you're going to put it on a little tray like that. It's so golden and beautiful. So there we are, we have our seeded bread. I'll show you a nice picture now. But I'll show you what it should sound like if it's cooked, that like hollow kind of sound. So like that. That's what you're aiming for. If you're still a bit concerned, take it, flip it around, tap it on the underside. That'll also help. This is a crusty bread as well. So final installment of the video. The bread has now rested until it's pretty much cool. I'm so excited. I love making bread. Make bread if you can. It's so much fun. That's our final product. Oh, it's the golden brick of goodness. So now we're gonna cut into it. All good sounds. Look at that. That is a proper loaf of gonna do a quick taste test. Don't wanna drag it out too long. A little bit of butter, a little bit. Get that going in there. Absolutely fantastic. So guys, there you go. This is our wholemeal seeded loaf. It came out really good. I'm about to go and eat all of it now with dinner. So yeah, I'll try it. It's so much fun to make bread. It's such a process, and you really get invested in the bread. I'm like staring at the oven the whole time. But anyway, so yeah, subscribe, like the video. I really appreciate that. Again, keep the hate. I'm gonna be posting again soon. Maybe some turnovers. We'll see. And turn the notifications on. I think that's the thing people do. And also follow me on the socials.